All right, welcome back. I want to get right into the idea of sports betting, and it's a complicated legal thing, Shelley, because in effect, the state's trying to create its own laws, even though there's some federal laws in the book. But setting aside the legality for a minute, and the courts are going to weigh in. We're going to have a window of time where this will be legal until probably the federal courts will probably shut it down. But what about the idea, not of gambling? Got casinos, you know it, in Yonkers, among more cities to come in New York. Yes, Racinos, I'm sorry. But the idea of sports gaming. Is there a distinction with the difference, or is it something that you say, hey, you know what, if we're doing one, we might as well do the other?
I think it is a different animal. I really do. I think obviously the fear is that it taints the game and the sportsmanship and all these highfalutin ideas we have about sports, which we've just diffused in our prior conversation. But I think it is a different animal, and I think we are leaving out, and I'm no expert on this, but my kids know all about fantasy football, which is definitely an element in this. And there are competing economic issues here about fantasy football that are more at play than the sanctity of sport.
Right now, only 2 states, Nevada and Delaware, you can legally do sports gaming. You've had, Phil, every major pro league and the NCAA file an injunction to stop this thing, saying that it'll compromise the integrity. I mean, once you do gambling, theoretically, then you get the bad guys involved in this. You try and get people to shave points. You try and people get throw games.
It's you know what, you don't have to ask. You know how I feel about casino gambling and the saturation of all kinds of venues and possibilities for people to bet. I think this just further extends the state endorsement of people getting hooked on a vice like this and going broke eventually.
But where do we draw the line? We have.
I know.
You can argue the lotteries pay for education.
I got it. You know, I mean, we're already down the slope.
Yeah.
You know, so there you go. So I guess if you're going to look at it that way, sure, let's do it. You know, but for sports, you know, teams or you know leagues to think that somehow they've been, you know, if they believe this, if they think they've been tainted by this, they're already in the betting business.
Richard, all my life I've been hearing that the lottery helps pay for education, yet every school district in the country has a deficit. So I mean,
because everything goes into the general fund.
Right.
Well, but it does create a significant amount of education funding in New York that does go into the general fund, and some of it comes back out. So, but that being said.
But the gambling for sports, you know, I don't know if you can do it from the comfort of your home on the phone, but it's scary.
No, they'll be at Monmouth Park. You got to go to Monmouth Park in New Jersey.
It's scary because the argument, I mean, you can lose every dime in your pocket.
Time out, though. You pick open a sports page. This is my only problem with it. I agree with that, all the reservations.
That's why.
Why do you think we have lines? Why do we have injury reports? It's for gaming. It's for gamblers.
Okay,
it's not just fantasy sports.
But the problem, Richard, the problem is everybody thinks they're an expert on sports. There's a reason why it's called professional sports. And so you think the Yankees are going to win tonight, but for some reason they don't meet the spread and you just lost your rent money. It's a very scary premise.
In my argument,
or your mortgage money.
And I'll tell you something: you can even be really, you know, an expert on football, and still, it's a throw of the dice on any given weekend. You know, Sunday football.
Shelley, this issue and more. Are we getting to the point where all the fat's been cut out of the budgets? People are cutting into bone now, and I always hear from the local municipalities. You know, it all rolls downhill. You know, the unfunded mandates and all the dirty words. Is it these kind of decisions that people are going to have to make, legislators, where they hold their nose and say, I may not like this, but it's either this or I got to close a couple firehouses or I got to do whatever else?
I don't think so. I mean, in New York, we have $4 billion that we didn't think we were going to have now in the state budget because of some bank settlements. And although it's not spread evenly, the economy is slowly improving and there is more tax money. So I don't think we're at the point, and that would be a very unfortunate moment, we've been in there before, where you're picking gambling versus cutting a firehouse. I hope to think we're not at that moment.
And on that note here, we leave on that hopeful note. We're going to head over, by the way, to Facebook and Twitter, and I want you to answer our question tonight. Sports betting, is it a good or a bad bet for New Jersey and maybe soon to a state near you? All right, up next, we'll have a look at news making headlines around the valley. Stay with us.